You won't believe what happened when our local HOA Karen decided to mess with my rabbits. It started off like any other morning, sun shining, rabbits hopping around, and me holding a fresh bag of feed to the hutch. But just as I stepped inside to grab some water, I heard a rattle at the gate. I came back out and the feed bag was gone, vanished. At first, I thought maybe I just left it somewhere. But then, a neighbor whispered what I already suspected. Karen had taken it. Now, let me paint you a picture. This is the same HOA board member who's complained about non-regulation garden gnomes and once filed a noise report over a wind chime. Apparently, rabbit food sitting on my porch was clutter that went against HOA policy. But this time, she'd gone too far. My rabbits depend on that feed, and I wasn't about to let her petty power trip put them at risk. So I made a little change. I let our Buck, the biggest and boldest of our rabbits, guard the hutch that night. He's no ordinary bunny. He's got attitude, and he doesn't back down. What happened next had Karen screaming across the lawn and the whole neighborhood peeking through their windows. But here's where it really gets interesting. Now, before we get to what Karen saw that had her flipping out, let me give you a little background. This whole HOA situation has been brewing for months. Karen isn't even the president, just a self-appointed enforcer of every petty rule in the book. If your grass is half an inch too long, or your porch light bulb is the wrong color, she's on it like it's a federal crime. Most of us in the neighborhood just try to avoid her, but lately she's been escalating. Ever since I started keeping rabbits, just a few, in a cleaned, tucked-away hutch, she's been watching my place like a hawk. She's left notes about unapproved animals, even though the HOA guidelines don't say a word about backyard rabbits. I followed every rule, stayed polite, but I guess she needed something else to complain about. That's when the rabbit feed disappeared. And it wasn't just any feed. It was a special blend I picked up from the farm supply store, full of nutrients the rabbits need, especially our Buck. He's a Flemish giant, over 20 pounds, and while he's gentle with us, he's not too friendly with strangers. Karen didn't know that. She also didn't know I'd moved the hutch closer to the fence that night. And she definitely didn't know he'd be waiting. That night, I kept one eye on the window. I had a feeling Karen wasn't done. She'd gotten bold lately, sneaking around people's yards with her little clipboard, taking pictures of minor violations. I guess she thought no one was watching her. But the neighborhood had started catching on. I wasn't the only one tired of her nonsense. Mrs. Lopez down the street said Karen tried to report her grandkids for unauthorized sidewalk chalk. Yeah, sidewalk chalk. So, when I saw a shadow moving by the fence, I knew exactly who it was. Karen must have thought I'd gone to bed. She had that same oversized tote bag she always carries when she's patrolling. Only this time, she was reaching toward the rabbit hutch. That's when the Buck made his move. Now, to be clear, he didn't hurt her. He just did what bucks do when they feel their space is being invaded. He lunged forward with a stomp, ears pinned back, letting out that deep grunt only rabbit folks know means back off. Karen shrieked like she'd seen a wild beast. She stumbled back, tripped over the garden hose I'd left coiled near the gate, and dropped her phone right into the mulch. The next morning, she was out early, marching around with a printed complaint form. But the weird part, she left out one very big detail. By noon, the whole neighborhood had caught wind of what happened. A few folks saw her sprinting across her lawn in her slippers, flailing and muttering about an aggressive animal. But when the HOA meeting notice landed in our inboxes that same afternoon, it was clear. Karen was trying to twist the whole thing into an official violation. She listed dangerous livestock, unsanitary animal housing, and my personal favorite, threat to community safety. No mention of trespassing, no mention of the missing feed, and definitely no mention of her being on my side of the fence. I stayed quiet, let her dig her own hole. Meanwhile, I started getting texts from other neighbors. Turns out, my security camera had caught everything. The sneaking, The reach into the hutch, the startled fall, even the buck's little stay-back stomp. I hadn't shown anyone yet, but people were already suspicious. "You gonna say anything?" one of them asked. I just said, "Soon." I stood there, holding the letter, feeling the weight of it sink into my chest. Karen's smug smile only made the situation feel even worse. She was watching me, waiting for me to crack, but I wasn't about to let her see how much this was affecting me. My mind raced. This wasn't just about me anymore. If I didn't fight back, they would have the power to do this to anyone who dared to live outside their perfect neighborhood rules. I didn't waste any more time. I grabbed my phone, opened the security footage, and sent it to a few of my closest neighbors who were fed up with Karen's petty complaints. I told them to come over immediately and prepare for a showdown. If she thought she could scare me off, she was wrong. But as I hit send, something else happened. I got a notification. A new video had been uploaded to the security system. Confused, I opened it. It was footage from just a few minutes ago, right after Karen had handed me that letter. But this wasn't from my yard. It was from across the street, from a neighbor's camera that I didn't even know was recording. And there, in clear view, was the final piece of the puzzle. Karen, in the middle of the night, talking to someone in a car, someone wearing a suit, someone who looked way too official to be a simple HOA volunteer. The two of them were laughing about finally getting rid of the troublemaker in the neighborhood. The video cut out, but I didn't need more. I knew exactly what had been going on. Karen wasn't just some power-hungry neighbor. She was in deep with a local developer who wanted to buy up the entire block. This wasn't about rules, it was about money. She had been working behind the scenes to push out people like me, to clear the way for a big sale. And now, the moment had come. I turned to Karen, who was still standing there with that same grin, like she had everything under control. I took a deep breath and told her, "You didn't think I'd find out, did you? This whole HOA thing, it's not about rules, is it? It's about getting people out here for good." Her face shifted instantly. The confidence drained from her expression, replaced by something darker, more desperate. She stammered, "You don't know what you're talking about." But I had the footage now, the proof that this was all a setup. Before she could say anything else, my neighbors started showing up, some of them with their own footage from their cameras, all confirming what I discovered. And just as we were about to confront her, there was another knock on the door. I wasn't expecting anyone else, but when I opened it, I found myself face to face with the person I least expected, the very developer I'd seen in the footage, standing there with a lawyer. He smiled, but there was something cold about it. "I think you've misunderstood the situation," he said. "This is all about improving the neighborhood. I'm sure you'll understand once everything's explained." And that's when I realized this wasn't just Karen's scheme. This had been bigger than I thought. She wasn't working alone, and neither was I. The entire neighborhood was about to be caught in the middle of a much bigger power play. The game had just changed, and we weren't going down without a fight. As they tried to step in, I realized that Karen's plan was never just to push me out. It was to make sure no one would fight back. And for the first time, I was ready to stand my ground. What would happen next? Well, you'll have to stay tuned for that. But believe me, this was just the beginning.